Hello and welcome. I'm here today with William McKissock. He is an expense reduction specialist and franchisee with Schooley Mitchell, and he is here today to talk to us and share a little bit about his background and what he's done. William's been very generous in talking to entrepreneurs throughout the community, and now the tables have turned, and we are here to learn more about William today. So hello, William, and would you like to share some information about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Hello, Patty. Thanks. It's kind of weird. It's like the camera's now facing me and I'm being asked the questions because I've been doing so many of these. Well, a little bit about myself to share with people who've been watching me interviewing people and asking these questions, a little bit about yourself. I'm obviously from Scotland. The accent always gives it away here in this part of Florida. I came here in 2011 with my wife and kids, a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. My wife got a job. We had green cards. I was like, well, okay, I'd left my job with Scottish Enterprise, Scotland's Economic Development Agency, to accommodate the move. And I was like, well, what will I do? So for some reason, I ended up starting a floor cleaning company. So I ended up buying a van, buying equipment, getting trained and getting out and cleaning tile and grout and carpet and that kind of thing. So I was like a true entrepreneur at this point. That was tough. I made some mistakes, so I kind of switched gears a little bit. And then I switched over to doing franchise consulting. So I was helping people buy franchises. Again, that kind of relates a little bit to what I did in Scotland in economic development, helping local groups and helping people and helping businesses. So during that time of showing other people all these wonderful franchises, I discovered Schooley Mitchell as a franchise. And I was like, well, I could be a business owner and I could do a lot of the stuff that I did in economic development back in Scotland as a business by helping businesses reduce their money, reduce their costs. So kind of that's my story. That's where it comes from. And it's because of that economic development background, I ended up doing this as a particular business owner franchisee job because it resonates exactly what I did back in Scotland. So there's my story and that's how I got here.
That's so interesting. So you concluded and said that it really resonates with you in what you do. Can you get a little more specific about what you do?
Yeah, well, what we do is we go into businesses and we'll audit their costs in specific areas. And those areas are telecom, credit card processing, shipping, waste, e-signature, and utilities. And when I say audit those costs, we've got around 100 members of staff at headquarters. Because we're a franchise, we have a franchise or headquarters based in Stratford, Ontario. It's a Canadian company. There's about 210 offices, including mine, across the USA and Canada. So we're all over the entire North America. About 2/3 of the offices are in the United States, mine being one of those offices. So when I say we go into businesses and audit the costs, we've got a team of analysts for each one of those categories. About half of the staff of a headquarters, around 100 staff, are broken up into these teams of analysts for each one of those categories. So we'll go into businesses and we'll look at their costs. And what we do there is the business owner or the CEO will sign a service agreement. They'll sign letters of authorization to allow us to speak to the vendors on their behalf. And then we do what's called the fact finding. It's our job to understand the business's needs, because you could have two identical businesses by different owners, but they've got different needs. So we need to understand that, what their needs are, what equipment they're using, etc., so that when we talk to their vendors, we understand exactly what the client needs. Therefore, we can make recommendations. And that's all we do at that point. We do the audit and we look at your billing statements, we look at your contracts, we speak to your vendors. We don't represent the vendors in any shape, manner, or mean. That's important to understand. And what I tell a lot of people is, even if just say a Spectrum vendor or a credit card processing vendor offered me like a $20 gift card, I could lose my license. That's how important that integrity is to what we do, that we don't get any payment whatsoever. We're not in the back pocket of any vendor. We don't have a horse in the race. The only horse in the race for us is our clients. So and the way it works is that we'll do an audit and we'll present a report to our client and we'll show them where they're spending the money, having done the fact finding and understood where their money is going. So this is where you're spending your money in a nice, simple format. Here's what we recommend. And it's important to understand that a lot of people think because we're expense reduction consultants, we're going to just willy-nilly recommend switching providers. That's not how it works. Because even if we did say recommend switching from Frontier to Spectrum, just to use one category as an example, we're still going to show you the best deal possible to stay with Frontier. So our recommendations would say, here's the best deal possible to stay with Frontier. By the way, you might want to look at this deal with Spectrum. And then that report is handed over to our clients after we present it to say, it's up to you what you want to do. And the really cool thing about this is that We haven't charged any money for doing the audit. We don't charge a single penny for that. The client will only pay us if we find savings, and that's only if they accept the recommendation for those savings. So the client's in control the whole time. If we say to our client, we found you 10 grand a month of a saving, and they say, no, I don't want to do it for whatever reason, we don't get paid. Or if we do the audit, and a lot of people will say, well, we've already got the best deal possible. And we'll say, well, here's one of the reasons why you might not, because you're one entity. You're dealing with all these vendors from one entity. Even if you might be a large organization with a team of people, you're still one entity dealing with all these vendors. We're dealing with thousands of entities on a daily basis with the same vendors. We're doing so much deals. We're doing so much market research outside the borders of your business. So we bring that knowledge into your business. 95% of the time we find savings. And one of the ways I'll describe it is that if you look at how much money's being on the table, we've got 100 members of full-time staff at headquarters. They're paid jobs, including the owners of the company. We've got over 200 offices, 210 offices at the last count across North America. We're all making money. And where's that money being found from? It's been found from money being left on the table by businesses who think they've got the best deals possible. Even if they do have the best deal possible, we'll confirm that in our report and say, you were right, you had the best deal possible. And we'll walk away from that.
That's really interesting, because this is something, the categories that you were talking about, this is something that a lot of businesses, it's a necessity in the business, but do these businesses really understand what they're paying for, how much they're paying, what services are included? And it sounds like you can really break that down for them so that they have a better understanding of it. And then the result of that is that these businesses can now focus their attention on the other pieces of their business, which is so to me, there's a double win here, because you're allowing the businesses to put their attention and their focus on other more important aspects of their business, while at the same time, you're teaching them to be more financially responsible with the monies that they have and saving them money on their expenses. So it's a really neat way to do business and a really neat way to save some money. And I would imagine there's a lot of businesses out there that would want to be part of this and would want to know, how do I do this? How do I get involved with it? What kind of businesses do you work with mainly?
The reality is that we work with small, medium to large size businesses, like billion-dollar companies all the way down to your local auto repair shop or your local dentist. And we work with any industry. I know in networking terms, we're told never just throw the blanket out there and say you work with just everybody. Well, we actually do, because every business will have telecom. Most businesses these days will probably have credit card processing. So many businesses will have waste. So many businesses will have shipping. The e-signature part, lots of businesses have that. Every business has utilities. So the reality is that we can work with absolutely any business in any industry. And we're able to do that because we've got that core knowledge at headquarters. And we've also got that shared knowledge across the network, because we very much share and help one another as franchisees. So an example there being, just say I signed a $50 billion client. That's a huge client. I can draw on not only the help of headquarters, but I can draw on the help of other franchisees. So we could put a team of franchisees in it. And because it'd be enough meat in the bone, there'd be enough money for everybody for us all to be involved. But that's the point of what we're doing, is we bring that collective to the table for our clients.
That's really interesting. And I would imagine, because you're working with businesses of so many different sizes, you can produce quite a bit of difference in results. Do you have a certain, like when you go into a business, do you have a certain number you're trying to save them, or a certain percentage you're trying to save them? How does that work when you look at the, here's the results we're trying to produce?
The average percentage we save across the board, it can be a lot higher, it can be a lot lower, but the average is around 28% is what we save. And we split that with the clients. That's how we make our money. We split those savings and we do a post-audit over a period of time, and then the client gets to keep all of it. Just to touch on the types of clients that we work with, obviously that we come from different backgrounds, and sometimes we've got different preferences in the verticals that we work in. I don't necessarily have a preference, but I've found a lot of success with e-commerce businesses, warehouse distributing, manufacturing is a great business. So if anybody that's in those spheres of industry are looking at this and thinking, well, I could maybe bring William McKissock and his team in to help me save some money. Those are some examples. Anything that's got like chains of stores, or like if you think of medical, retail, if there's chains of them, there's a lot of money being left on the table. So those are some highlights of some of the areas that we work with. But right now I'm speaking to a couple of $1 billion finance company. And the same difference, I have a client that's an auto repair shop with six employees. So it's across the board, but those are some examples of the categories where I'm personally having some success. Having said that, it's like the success all across the board, across the country. And as I say, if one franchisee is being successful in a particular industry, it means we're all successful because it's the same people at headquarters that's doing the work for us. Because I don't do the auditing, I don't do the negotiating. The team at headquarters does that for us. We can do it ourselves in telecom. Personally, headquarters does everything for me. So if one franchisee has success and found a client with 100 stores, a ton of money in waste and shipping and e-signature, to use some examples, that means essentially I've done it because it's the team at headquarters that's the same team, it's the same people that I use that they were using. So it's a really fantastic way the network is set up and the way we can help our clients.
You know, that is really interesting because you do have a really strong support network. So it's almost as if it's not just you, it's a full team.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, your team of other franchisees, it's your team that you have in your head offices, it's everybody. So when someone retains your services, it's not just they're getting you, which is fantastic in itself, but they also get the added benefit of having the other people that you work with to support you and to support the effort so that they can be certain that they are doing that. And, you know, it sounds kind of elementary, and it's something you learn in, you know, business school 101 is how do you save money? But I don't think it's something that people pay sometimes enough attention to. So this is a really important topic, and I think that it's just fascinating. And I can't wait to have more conversations with you about this and learn more about it and how you do more of the magic that you do to save some people some money. So thank you so much, William, for sharing all of this with us today. And just in the spirit of William and how he wraps everything up, I'm going to wrap up and just say a big thank you to William. And now I'm going to throw it to Tanya for traffic.
Thank you very much.